What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here with Nick Tasso, taking a look at some stacking options for the Friday slate. Big 15 games, have some decent pitchers on the hill. I mean, kind of at a quick glance here first, I mean, there wasn't a ton to really like as far as stacks. It's all kind of maybe 4 or 5 really good ones, and a lot of other games where I'm just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, totally. I think Friday's a huge slate typically, so we have to wait and see about the lineup, see if anyone's out, because there are a lot of injury concerns going into Thursday night and into Friday. So it's definitely a wait and see approach. But I think we can get down to the basics and figure out which guys to go with stack wise.
Yankees Pirates here, Tyler Glasnow versus CC Sabathia in PNC Park. Um, I don't know if this is a stacking opportunity for me. One, the ballpark is tough on for power. Yankees also losing a DH spot. Um, I probably don't do a full stack here with either team.
Yeah, like you said, Pittsburgh, terrible ballpark, no DH, which will take out one of the bigger bats from the Yankees. CC Sabathia isn't the best, but I think against this Pittsburgh team, there's no real reason to play anyone. Stack wise, maybe here or there, but even so, their prices for the guys that you would like are kind of up there. So I'd probably stay away. And I think New York, you just have to pick your spots with.
Yeah, I'm with you. Definitely more one-off territory. And with Marte being out, I mean, this lineup is probably not going to be stackable for a long time.
No, there's really not a lot to like from here unless you just need cheap guys to fill up a lineup
Yeah.
and save some salary.
Atlanta and Philly next year. Jeremy Hellickson versus Portola Colon in Philadelphia. Two right-handers who have been around for quite some time. Obviously, Colon much longer. I feel like both these guys are probably capable of a quality start, which is, maybe we don't say that often enough, but I don't know if it's a real stacking opportunity here.
No, I'd probably, if I had one guy to choose, it'd probably be Freeman just because he's so hot right now. But other than that, there's not too much to like. Uh, I do think this stacking opportunity against Helkson is good for ownership wise. You'll get him pretty low. So if you wanted to take a stab at, say, throwing Markakis and Ciarte as well as Freeman, I can understand that. But don't expect too much out of it, even though it is a good ballpark.
Yeah, I think it's maybe more one on side. It's a good value sense because I mean all these guys really are cheap, really outside of Freeman, who obviously, as you said, I mean, super hot right now, is crushing the ball, good ballpark. But yeah, I think as far as stacks go on a full slate, definitely other options.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could kind of even see it too going after Cologne just because he is Bartolo Cologne, but you're really not sure what you're going to get with him because he's so old that sometimes he has good outings, but most times he doesn't. And you even remember last year, he was very serviceable. And this year he's kind of just been up and down. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence for fully attacking him.
Yeah, like I could see it because I mean he does struggle against lefties, gives up a crazy high hard contact rate, but it's frustrating to stack against Cologne. You think it'd just be so easy, but it's not.
Yeah, and the Philly guys really aren't that cheap too. I do like Franco, but because he hit righties really well last year throughout his career as well. But 4,200 is kind of high for me for him.
Yeah. Boston and Baltimore. We got Drew Pomeranz versus Dylan Bundy. Good ballpark here. I think this is probably just a one-off game once again here for me. I mean, Baltimore is just one of those teams where it's like the stack really isn't clicking so far this season because they're so boomer bust. And Pomeranz, I mean, the strikeout upside actually hasn't looked all that bad to start the season.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a really nice first game, and since then he hasn't been the best. But I think Pomeranz could have a good game here because we've seen the righties for Baltimore not really be as dominant as they were last year, especially like Trumbo against lefties. So I don't mind Pomeranz. So stacking wise, I'd probably stay away. The most consistent guy from Baltimore I've noticed is probably Adam Jones. So I don't really mind him compared to everyone else. He's a little bit cheaper. So you kind of go with Adam Jones, but it's hard to really get behind a full stack right now for Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think really Adam Jones and like Trey Mancini, who's off to a solid start to the season, you know,
Easter, he was good.
yeah,
I
I
did the
mean,
Baltimore stack on Easter, and it worked out well. But since then, I keep trying to go to the well. It's not working.
no, it really hasn't been. They've been really boomer bust. As far as the Red Sox go, a little bit expensive for my taste. Um, FanDuel, you might be able to get away with it because guys like Benintendi, Pedroia, and Hamley are cheaper. Mitch Moreland's crushing the ball too right now. Bundy really hasn't had great success against Boston, but I still just think this might be a one where I'm just looking at maybe two guys. I don't know if it's a full four stack for me.
Yeah, I'm not super thrilled about Boston for those reasons as well. And I think it's a little crazy. Jackie Bradley Jr. on DraftKings is higher than Pedroia, who bats first, and Bradley Jr. will probably be seventh. So that's a little weird for me. But and you even look at it too. The other guys in that lineup, their price is pretty high going up against Bundy. So it doesn't work for me.
No. Chicago and Cincinnati. John Lester taking on Tim Edelman. I like a Cubs stack here. I mean, finally we get to a stack where I actually feel fine with targeting away. I actually like it a little bit more on FanDuel because Schwarber and Zobrist aren't priced crazy high. But you look at Edelman, I mean, average right-hander at best, gave up 8 of 13 home runs at Cincinnati last year. He's just one of those spot starters where I feel like you can pick on.
Yeah, I lost you, so I'm just going to keep going. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, am I good?
Yeah,
Alrighty, that works.
You like the Cubbies?
Yeah, I do. I know you were talking about them before I went away, and then everything just kind of hit the fan. So we're just going to go with it. I've noticed that DraftKings has changed positions with their first 2 weeks, and now it stinks that you have to play Schwarber in the outfield. So I think stacking wise, you kind of for the Cubs, you're in a good position. I just don't like their positions overall anymore because I liked hiding Schwarber at catcher.
Yeah, I did too. That was definitely a benefit. You do have obviously Bryant Rizzo sucking on first and third base too, but tremendous upside. Schwarber 4.9, I mean, a little bit pricey. I think 3.6 on FanDuel is much more reasonable for him.
Yeah, totally. And also, I agree with you too. If you throw in Rizzo and Bryant, you kind of have those big two positions all filled up. And if they don't come through in the clutch, it kind of hurts your team a little bit because you could because there are so many good bats at both positions night in and night out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely like the Cubs. I think it's an interesting swerve off of some of the other higher priced teams. Look at Edelman, I mean, low strikeout rate, which Cubs, I mean, they haven't looked like themselves so far to start this year. They've been striking out a ton. So getting a guy who doesn't miss bats in that ballpark, which is home run friendly, should benefit them quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to that strikeout thing, though, Cubs always kind of strike out, especially Bryant. So just is what it is. I don't think they've performed as well as they could have so far this year. So I'm still kind of waiting for them to get over that hump. But they're still a good option, especially against Edelman.
Yep. As far as the Reds go, not looking to really stack against Lester. I mean, I'm not necessarily on Lester tonight, but I don't like using the Reds against them just because I think really the base path guys like Peraza and Hamilton might give them fits if they get on.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I remember correctly, he hasn't had great success against guys like Hamilton and Peraza as well. So I think he might struggle. And once they get on base, no one knows what's going to happen. But other than that, Lester's still a pretty good pitcher. So I think a full stack would be ill-advised. I'd probably just do a few one-offs, maybe Duvall or Votto, or even, like you said, Hamilton. But other than that, it's silly to try to go all five guys.
Yep. Houston, Tampa, Alex Cobb versus Mike Fiers. This is probably just more of a one-off game. I actually don't mind Cobb tonight, but as far as Rays bats go, I mean, I like some of the power lefties, but probably just one-offs for me.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, going back to Houston, they really haven't been that great of an offense so far, so I'm probably staying away from them. Tampa Bay, like you said, a lot of the lefties do have good power. You saw Miller last year. He hit tons of home runs at the Trop, so I don't mind using him. He's priced pretty good, but you can kind of take stab one-offs basically with the other guys like Morrison and Dickerson.
Yeah, that's it for me. It's not really worthy of a full stack. I mean, they are cheap, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to scroll pretty far down to find them, which definitely might save their help their own ownership percentage too. But I'm just not a huge fan against Fiers. I know he's not great, but it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Not feeling it.
Washington, New York, Jacob deGrom versus Tanner Rourke. no stacking options for me here. I mean, one of the lower total games and two of the better arms on the slate too.
Yeah, I agree with you. You look at the Washington; they have some injury concerns potentially, so I'm probably staying away. They haven't really performed as well as you would have hoped the last few days, especially with the pitching that they've seen. So I'm kind of off them as well as the Mets. They're not really a good offense, and having to go up against a somewhat decent pitcher, it's not smart. Staying away.
Royals Rangers, Nate Carnes versus Cole Hamels. I like a Texas stack here. I think they're really nicely priced. Sitting right around that 4K range, basically all of them on DraftKings. And going up against Nate Carnes, I mean, in that ballpark, fly ball pitcher, I'm definitely intrigued here.
Yep, I could not agree more. I mean, you look at Carnes and he just he is what he is. He doesn't really strike out too many guys. And you look at this Texas team in Texas, they're going to have a good opportunity to really do some damage. Great ballpark for him, and you do have a good amount of lefties as well, which could give Carnes some fits.
Yeah. And you look at Texas, I mean, definitely a better offense there at home, too, averaging about a run and a half more per game.
Absolutely. I think it's really just the ballpark. I mean, they just seem to hit better there. As you know, a lot of players come in and they hit home runs as well from the visiting side, but I don't see that happening with Kansas City too much tonight.
I don't either. I mean, too many lefties in that lineup against Cole Hamels. They do have a 4-run total. They do get a bump on the road in that ballpark, but yeah, I'm with you. Royals definitely not a stacking option.
Yeah, they've been really bad. So I'm staying far away from them. Not even one-offs, not even doing it.
No, on a full slate, there's really no need. Cardinals
No, absolutely
Brewers.
not. Yep, keep going.
Cardinals Brewers. Adam Wainwright, Willie Peralta. I think both teams are in play stacking wise. The only thing that I have an issue with is just basically the Cardinals' prices.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it is Willie Peralta, but they're high up there. And even though Peralta has looked much better than he did last season, at the end of the day, he's still Willie Peralta. And eventually he's going to get hit hard. It's a good ballpark. So I definitely like some of the guys top of the order, like Fowler and Diaz and even Carpenter, even though he hasn't really done too much this year.
Yeah, I mean, Cardinals' offense, it's definitely been a slow start to them. I mean, Fowler, Carpenter included, Diaz as well. But in that ballpark, I mean, definitely some potential for upside. I mean, Peralta, against lefties, 364 Woba last year. Righties, was bad as well, 347. So you can fire away. As far as the Brewers go, I mean, Wainwright struggled tremendously on the road last season. Struggled with lefties as well, 376 Woba. I mean, Travis Shaw, Eric Thames are like two of the hottest hitters in baseball right now. I mean, there's a lot of potential there.
Absolutely. I would I probably am going to have way too many Milwaukee bats than I really want to in my lineup tonight. But you just look at Wainwright, and he just hasn't been effective at all, and he's given up too many hits, not getting the strikeouts. And with a team like Milwaukee, which is kind of hot right now, especially 1 through 5, I have to like them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, 1 through 5, they're all in play for me. And I feel like Vegas is kind of underselling them right at the moment, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll get a lot of people too playing DFS who will think of the name value that Wainwright has. So people might kind of shy a little bit away from Milwaukee, but the 2017 version of Wainwright is pretty bad.
Yeah. Indians and White Sox next year. Jose Quintana versus Corey Kluber. I don't really have any interest here. I think, I don't think Indians are in a bad spot. I mean, I don't think Quintana's obviously a bad arm. I think it's just more one-off territory with Indians here.
Yeah, I'd probably, if I was to do a stack here, I'd probably do three of the Indians just because looking at Quintana, he really struggled in his first inning against the Twins last time out, and he just couldn't find the plate, and he was struggling immensely. So I think guys like Carlos Santana and even Lindor could really give him fits. So I don't mind those guys, and because it is Quintana, their prices are a little bit lower than typical. So I kind of would go with those few.
Chicago side things. I know Kluber hasn't looked the greatest, but no thanks.
Yeah, I don't even think the White Sox are in contention anymore to stack.
Tigers Twins, Hector Santiago versus Justin Verlander. Um, I want to like the Tigers, but I don't know. I mean, ballpark there here in this time of year it looks a little bit chilly. I just feel like it's going to be one of those letdown games, but I mean, I can't knock the right-handers here.
Absolutely not. And throughout his career, Santiago is a huge fly ball pitcher, which kind of has really hurt him. He kind of got away with it in Los Angeles just because the Angels ballpark's so big, but Minnesota's a little bit smaller, so I don't mind some of these hitters. They are priced pretty nice outside of obviously Cabrera and Kinsler. So if you were to dip down a little bit lower to guys like Castellanos and even Victor Martinez, I don't mind those two guys.
No, I mean, I think they're definitely in play. It's just going to be a matter of if I can work a stack in, which at the moment I don't think I can. I think it's just more one-offs, two-off territory here.
Yeah, absolutely not. And kind of goes back to the whole first base thing. You kind of have a lot of first basemen that you could go with, especially on a 15 game slate, and kind of just throwing in Cabrera because you're making a stack sometimes isn't really the best.
Yeah. I'm not on the Twins side. Verlander definitely one of the better arms tonight. Not looking to use any real Twins bats here.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good lefty bats that Verlander will see, but there's really no need for it.
Moving on to a Coors game, Johnny Cueto versus Tyler Chatwood. As far as stacking goes, I mean, definitely in play, but I think on a 15 game slate, I mean, I don't think it comes in really as my favorite.
No, I'm not a huge fan of especially the Colorado bats or and also the Giants bats. The Giants have looked awful. Colorado has been so, but I don't know. It's not a huge line right now, and like you said, it's really not that appealing compared to some other games. Even though it is Coors, but Coors really hasn't played as good as we thought it is so far. So I'm gonna wait and to see approach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of attacking Cueto. Tyler Chatwood, I mean, I think Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, two lefties are certainly in play, but that's about it. So, I mean, I don't think really stacking here is. I mean, if you're building multiple lamps, I get it, but if you're only building a few, I don't think it's really worth your while to stack. I think it's just more one-offs.
Yeah, and the thing you always have issues with when there's a Coors game is that uh, whenever you stack them, they're always going to be higher than what you think they are ownership wise. So sometimes when it's not a good matchup, you kind of just have to bypass it.
Yep. Dodgers Diamondbacks. This is certainly one where I'm looking towards as far as offense goes on both sides. Taiwan Walker, not a guy that I'm believing in, had a couple of decent starts to start the year, but overall, fly ball pitcher is home run prone. Chase Field, I mean, definitely on par with Coors in terms of production last year. So I like stacks on both sides here.
Absolutely. I'm going to find a lot of ways to fit a lot of these guys into my lineup because you look at Arizona and a lot of righties in there going up against Alex Wood. And I like the opportunity there. And even Jake Lamb has hit lefties somewhat well. So I don't mind him. And then on the flip side, you got the Dodgers, and they have so many lefties. And Taijuan Walker's always struggled against lefties. He had an okay matchup last time against them, but that was also at Dodger Stadium. And like you said, Chase Field is a hitter's haven.
Yeah, I mean, and Dodgers, you want to pay up on the hill and still get a stack in. I mean, they're all really cheap. With Tolles leading off, Justin Turner's criminally underpriced. Gonzalez Grandal under 4K on DraftKings. I mean, FanDuel they're priced well. So I mean, really, I mean, if you want to pay up for a Kluber or Verlander and still get a high price stack or a high upside stack in, I mean, Dodgers might come through as like the best points per dollar stack on the night.
Yeah, and to jump on Turner, he is kind of day to day. So if he's not in, they might do something funky with their lineup, which means you might have opportunities of lower price guys hitting higher in the batting order, maybe even like Grandal hitting up there.
That's true. You probably actually, yeah, Grandal might slip up in line, but also Puig might bump up a few spots too.
Yeah, and
So,
now with Forsyth on the DL too, they might change some things. So who knows? You might actually some good value out of the bats.
and as you said, I mean, we touched on Arizona. Like, right-handers are definitely in play. The AJ Pollock price on DraftKings is really nice at 4-1.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy can do so much. He's kind of like Goldschmidt, but like a different tier because he doesn't have all that power, but what he lacks in power, he definitely picks up in speed. So he's for stolen bases, but he still has the power, which is good.
Yep. Yeah, so big fan of those bats. Yes, my Tomas is also a guy that I don't mind throwing in the stack as well.
Yeah, some days he doesn't hit though, just so you know.
Yeah, boomer bust guy. Mariners, Oakland, Hisashi Wakuma, Sean Manaya. In that ballpark, 15-game slate. I'm not a big Iwakuma fan, but I don't know how much I'll be stacking against him. I mean, some of those Oakland bats are really cheap, though, but I think they're more just one-offs in value areas.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this game being played in Oakland. It kind of just throws me for a little bit. Like you said, pricing isn't that egregious, so I don't mind it. I'd probably, if I had to play one guy against Iwakuma, it would probably be Chris Davis, just because he has so much potential. Boomer bust, and believe it or not, he's still really good against righties, and he hits a ton of home runs even at the Coliseum. So I don't mind him on that side.
Nope, I don't either. And then also, I mean, I think if you're looking on Seattle side, Nelson Cruz obviously pops up, but as far as the stack goes, it's not really that appealing with the lefty on the hill.
Not really. Maybe Mitch Haniger. He's still, like you said, every single time we talk, he's underpriced. So I definitely use him.
Toronto, Los Angeles, Alex Meyer versus Matt Latos. As far as the late night games go, I mean, that's 10 o'clock and later. Angels have the highest run total right now, near 5. This is still a team that it's hard to stack against, hard to stack, but Matt Latos is kind of daring me to stack against him here.
Yeah, it's one of those tough things because Matt Latos is not good at all, and we've seen that. But at times, I'm pretty sure he's kind of screwed us all in DFS. So I feel like that might be one of these times if you go and try to stack the Angels, and Matt Latos comes in and throws a gem for his first game. But I personally, I'm staying away from this game. There's so many unknowns from both sides of the plate, so I don't like either one of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of obviously stacking teams in Angel Stadium, which we talked about with Hector Santiago. It's one of the worst ballparks for pitchers or for hitters. Um, Angels aren't really a high upside offense either. There isn't really a ton of love outside of that main core of Calhoun, Trout, Pujols. So I mean, I guess that kind of qualifies as a stack, but I think if you're playing maybe the late slate, sure, fire away.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that because you really don't have many options when you're doing late slate. So it is what it is, but not really. And you look at this Toronto team, and they have the name still in the lineup, but they're really not doing much.
Yeah, they're a team I'm not going to stack for until I basically see something here.
That's a good idea. They look like they need life support. They're pretty bad.
Yeah. What Sale? How many strikeouts does Sale have today? No, I know it's over double digits again.
It was at least 13, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad
I'm
offense right now.
Up. I don't know. I think 13.
Marlins, Padres, Trevor Cahill, Adam Conley, 15-game slate here. There's no need to make a case for a stack here on either side.
Yeah, if you want to talk about your late slates again, you only have 3 games that are really terrible. It'll probably be the lowest scoring late slate ever. So you could really just pick who you want, and hopefully they get a few hits, maybe some stolen bases. But if you're playing the entire thing, there's no need to dig into this game at all. Maybe Will Myers one-offs going up against Conley, even Yelich against Cahill, but other than that, there's not much to like.
No, there's really not. So I mean, a couple power shots, but that's about it.
Yeah, nothing great,
no.
or good for that matter.
No. So let's wrap things up here with the 15 games. You can check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all great tools and content.